days a week, 365 days a year. And of course, our best bets always over in the premium area. Chris, how's it going today?
It's going well. I had a great day yesterday. Unfortunately, the one big play that we had fell short. The Jets decided to score two touchdowns in a matter of 15 seconds and kind of derailed everything. But still, good NFL day overall.
So would you
Showed some
have the
profit.
what was the play that
It
got
was the
derailed?
under
It
in the
was the
Dolphins
under.
and Jets.
All right, so
It
but
was
other than
I
that, it
thought
seemed like
45
you
and a half.
won like almost every game, right?
Yeah, I think I went 2 and 3 in the afternoon, and then took care of the 425 in the primetime games.
It just works out that way sometimes. It's like it's the weirdest
Yeah.
thing. It's like you'll hit every game except for the one that most people have purchased because it's the $15 special.
Mm-hmm.
Just happens
Mm-hmm.
that way. But you stay
Yep.
hot, and people the better deal is, it just goes to show you, once again, the better deal is to always get the long term packages. And
Yeah.
you get the long term packages, you would have gotten all Chris's picks, and you would have cleaned house. Rod, how's it going today?
Yeah, it's an all right day. Thank goodness for Sunday Night Football. My good old bailout game bailed me out because I had a 1-4 morning in the NFL, and then I went 2-1 in the afternoon in primetime games. But this primetime Sunday nighter was a no doubter for me.
So yesterday you
No,
missed.
crushed.
Yesterday you missed our NFL show. You had power outage. Bad timing, huh? We had a packed
Oh,
house
it's
for
bad
NFL
timing.
show,
Yeah, bad timing.
But some good picks. Al McMorty sent me a lot of picks from pictures from the game yesterday that he was at SoFi, of the Kardashians, of Jerry Jones. He said his friend paid $1,750 a ticket for those seats. So he had really, really good seats. So he sat with like all the celebrities and everything. So he sent pictures to me of all of the people sitting around him. Turns out that my business partner was also at the game yesterday too at SoFi. He was in one of the suites. So it's excited. One of our partners at Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Place. So I didn't know. I also would have had him hook up with Al. But for me, it's like I had a couple games that I had Cleveland, so that was just there's nothing you can do about that. It's like I had the Bills were my big play, and I had the Titans, of course, and like Carson Wentz pure fade. I would love to figure out, and maybe we can get some of these other guys on here, figure out how they got on the Commanders. I just would love to know, because I was on the Commanders a couple times this season. They're dead to me, man. It's like I don't even know how you get on them. And then you see Carson Wentz, they gift him a pass interference, give him the ball at the 2-yard line. I mean, it was a gift of a pass interference. And the whole thing was that the drive was sustained on a very odd play. Once again, I was in the book, so they didn't have sound on this game. But it was a very odd play where he was sacked and the guy turned around and accidentally stepped on him, and they called 15-yard personal foul, right? It was like totally non-intentional, not anything, right? He was just basically, Wentz like moved his leg right under the guy's foot, and it kept the drive going. And then the pass interference was ridiculous, and they give him the ball on the 2-yard line, but almost every throw that went through until the interception was almost intercepted. Right? It was closer to being intercepted than completed, and
We completed.
I don't understand it. I don't understand the Commanders and how you get there. But I make some horrible picks all the time. But the Commanders are not one.
Not one of them.
Yeah,
I mean, some bad picks too, but the Commanders are definitely not.
are definitely
on my
not
radar.
one of them. That's for sure. It's like I'm way past that. I'm way past that stage. I'm getting burned by the Seahawks, who are inside the number the entire freaking game, take the lead, and then still manage to not cover. I don't even understand what happened. I couldn't even tell you. And then the Dolphins, Teddy Bridgewater, people were complaining on the show about Bridgewater's ability, and he gets injured on the first play, so you don't even have to worry about his inability or whatever. And you saw Skylar Thompson, and he looked about the same as Pickett, I would say.
Yeah. Definitely, he was a little bit scared, and it was his first, and he was like, "Whoa!" He was definitely not prepared to go in there.
So you guys have an echo, is what they're saying?
That's what people are saying that we're
Yeah.
like,
Maybe it's because it's coming through my mic. Try now.
Testing.
do we have an echo?
No.
And we're
No
still
echo.
echoing. Yo,
So if I mute my mic while I talk, 'cause I don't have my headphones, is the issue here.
Yeah,
So,
I thought that's what it might have been.
oh, somebody said it's fixed.
yeah, I just have to continue to mute my mic, and then when I'm not speaking and when you guys are speaking, I need to mute.
All good.
Or I can go, or I could just go to the store and get a cheap set of headphones to tide me through. I'm going home anyway, so it doesn't matter. But we got football tonight. We got Patrick Mahomes is in action against the Vegas Raiders, and the Chiefs are just rolling, and the Raiders they got a win last time out, but they are hardly. Tough to have confidence in them. I did my 7 props show, and I kind of just told the story. The Raiders are moving the football, they're doing all those things, but you can do all you want, but they they just don't seem to be working. Chris, any thoughts on tonight's game?
Yeah, I like the Chiefs in this one. You look, yeah, the Raiders are putting up points. They put up 32 against Denver, but look at the teams they've played. Denver, an Arizona team that's been missing DeAndre Hopkins in a bad way. A Chargers team that some people will still say is one of the more overrated teams in the NFL this season, and a Tennessee team that has had issues with moving the ball through the air. It still looks good moving the ball on the ground, but that hasn't stopped Vegas from giving up points in bunches in that game. They've given up at least 23 points in all 4 games this season. And that's not good against a Chiefs team that's averaged almost 36 points per game in the last 10 meetings between these two teams and put up 89 points in the 2 meetings last year alone. So I think this one's all Chiefs. The only worry I had for the Chiefs was that could be a bit of a look-ahead spot with a rematch with the Bills on deck next week. But I still think it's the Chiefs game to lose here. I think the Chiefs win this one by double digits.
I see comments, and I've seen this one over the last few days, and ever since really all the time, because I constantly rip Carson Wentz since the day he was drafted. But the thing is that he practically led this Eagles to the Super Bowl or whatever. No, he didn't. Okay, because in order to lead a team to the Super Bowl, there are players that have great portions of seasons. There are players that have great halves of seasons. There are players that have great seasons and do not win the championship, even though their team finishes with the best record and all those different things. Winning big games is something totally, totally different. And Carson Wentz, regardless of ability or injury or any of those things that have happened to him in the past, has not shown the ability to win these type of games. And if you can't get the ball in from the 2-yard line, I'll tell you what, in a game where they basically have gifted it to you, they want you to win so bad, they're just going to give you the ball. I mean, they can't give you the touchdown, right? They can't just put points on the board unless you actually have a play that's controversial enough, and you get in there and there's a batting around, and is he in, is he not in? They call it in. It's like not enough to overturn it, right? So unless you get something like that, they can't actually give you the points. But it's like they certainly can make it a lot easier on you, and they certainly did that for Carson Wentz yesterday. So I think he's got no excuses whatsoever. And I tell you what, I would love to have. I know a lot of people at the Commanders. I know some of our best cappers had the Commanders. I would just love to know how they got there, especially after last week, against the Cowboys. I would just love to know how they got there, because it didn't figure into my handicapping at all. There was nothing in my handicapping that even suggested that. So I just would love to know what it is, because the problem that they have is that aside from Wentz, is that they don't have the ability to block anybody, because Wentz is also the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. And so when you're sacked a lot, you turn the ball over a lot. Those things always go hand in hand. Anyways, Rod, talk about tonight's game.
Oh, I like the under in this one. This is Chris alluded to, the Raiders have been giving up tons of points, and you think that this is going to go flying over the total. But when you look at recent history, both these teams on Monday nights, they come to play. And this is a divisional battle, grudge match. I like the under in this one. You look Raiders 6-0 to the under after allowing less than 90 yards rushing in the previous game. They're also 6-1 to the under following a straight up win. And Raiders on Monday Night Football 6-2 to the under. Chiefs 5-0 to the under their last 5 Monday night games. And you look Chiefs 5-2 to the under after scoring 30 plus points in the previous game. And the last 14 meetings between these two teams in Kansas City, 11-3 to the under. I like the under. I think it just sneaks under the total. It opened at 52.5 and it dropped. They're begging to take the over. I'll take the under in this one.
I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the opposite side here. I just think that we're going to see a ton of scoring. We saw Mahomes in several of these games this season. We're basically into where we see Mahomes in games this season where they've scored just about every single time they've had the ball, and it was in these primetime games. It was against the Bucs, right? So it's like I don't see anything here from the Raiders, that lead me to believe that they're going to be able to stop him enough. Hunter Renfrow back for the Raiders in this one too, so it gives Carr that auxiliary guy to move the ball. And when without Renfrow, we've seen Waller's stats drop tremendously as well. And I think that Waller probably gets involved as well on the Raiders side. They know they need to get involved. And it's like if you can spread the ball around the way that Mahomes does, and if you saw my 7 free props, then you can see by the receivers, yardage that they're each getting, that he's just distributing the ball all over the place. And if Carr can do that as well, very, very hard to defend, very, very hard to defend. And I expect to see plenty of points in this one. These teams, they just seem to track meet it pretty often. So I'm going to take the over. I don't love it. It's not my top play or anything by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, in the comments here, people handicap different ways. Some are purely numbers driven. Some are it doesn't matter how they're playing. I understand that. And that's why I said I would love to have some of these other cappers on just to hear how they got there. Because I don't in my handicapping, there was nothing that got me there. There was nothing. There was no numbers that got me there. There was nothing. Chris said that Derrick Henry's numbers haven't been the same rushing. The thing is, if you watch the games, they have been the same. And he hasn't slowed down a beat. And basically what you see is just a lot of penalties against the Titans. And yesterday, he probably rushed for over 225 yards in that game. They just called back so many long runs. When Derrick Henry passes through the line of scrimmage, if you don't get him initially, for a 2-3 yard gain, because you're not going to get him for nothing, right? So if you don't stop him for a 2-3 yard gain, it's 12 minimum, every single time. The guy just seems to be 7 feet long when he falls forward, It's tremendous. I mean, you don't see running backs that are that tall, and it's like the way that he falls forward with the ball just seems that he always seems to be going. But anyways, we can, we don't have a lot of games going on today. We just have the one, and tomorrow the Major League Baseball series start. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go series overview, I think, on these series. Some of these games, the starting pitchers aren't even announced on these. But we'll just go through. But now it looks like the pitchers are out for these games, and they're pretty much as we expected. So for series one, we'll just go through each series, and we'll just do a high-level overview of the series coming in, and you'll see if we can come up with anything here. Chris, we're going to look at the Braves versus the Phillies. Of course, both these teams play in the National League East, and people expected there to be 2 National League East teams in this round, but most expected it to be the Mets and not the Phillies, and me included. So what do you think here? We've got in game one, the Phillies used up the top end of their rotation with Nola and Wheeler going in those other games, but on the other side of it, we have you know, the day off, the 2 days off in between. So they'll go Suarez, and then they'll probably be going with this 3-man rotation of Wheeler and Wheeler and Nola and Suarez, and then the Braves, of course, countering with Max Fried, and well, they have a lot of options. I mean, they are just super deep. The defending world champions, of course. Chris, what do you think of this series, and how does it shape up?
Well, yeah, they'll probably follow with Kyle Wright and Spencer Strider, or maybe Charlie Morton thrown in there as well. Normally, with the way that Ranger Suarez has pitched against Max Fried this season, I can tell you at least it's happened on 3 occasions. The Phillies have gone 2-1 in at least the last 3 meetings between Suarez and Fried, but down the stretch, the Phillies couldn't win with Suarez on the road, and I think the Braves could start this series with a win, add to the Phillies' misery with Suarez starting on the road, and I think this is the Braves series to lose. Personally, I think the Phillies, they had a nice opening round series in taking care of the Cardinals, but the Braves, they've been there, done that. This is an experienced Braves team. I think they're just a better team, top to bottom. I like the Braves to win this series.
Where does Kyle Gibson figure into this equation for the Phillies?
Probably a long relief role, if I had to guess. I mean, he does have obviously the starter experience, but are these at Division Series 5 games or are they 7?
7. So what about Bailey
Okay.
Faulkner?
I'd personally rather have Falter over Gibson, but again, Gibson brings the experience. I think Falter brings in the momentum because he pitched really well down the stretch.
How about Jake?
Oh boy, Jake
Jake.
Yeah, I think Odorizzi's going to be one of the Gibson equivalent in that Braves rotation. I think he's going to be the long relief arm that you see maybe pitch 3 or 4 innings, or if somebody gets into trouble, or if they need a spot start on a back-to-back day. If there's like a really long game, like a 13 inning game, then yeah, maybe that's when you see Odorizzi make a starter, get some bulk innings.
Yeah, when Rod does his preview, I'm gonna Google around and see exactly who's on this Braves postseason roster, because this is probably a team where they probably have to make some decisions with guys like Bryce Elder and Jake Odorizzi coming into the postseason to see who's actually going to be on the roster. Rod, what do you think of this series from a high level?
Yeah, I like the champs. They're rested, and you look right to kick it off. Sure, the last time they faced it was a 1-0 win for Suarez and the Phillies over the Braves. But how many people were playing in that game? Were they really gung ho to go? You look at the Braves on the year, and they've definitely hit lefties well. In 263 as a team versus lefties. I think they get to Suarez in game 1, and they don't look back from there. I like the Braves to win this series. I had the Phillies in the first series, but I just don't think they got enough pitching arms. They were like the Blue Jays. They have 2 guys that are solid, and then you got Suarez they can mix in there, but they just don't have enough. I don't think the Phillies have enough arms to keep up with the Braves. So for me, it's just definitely gotta take the Braves in this one. The champs are the champs, and I think they continue on. I don't think it's a long series either. I think it's like 5, 6. I think they dispose of the Phillies quick.
It looks like Bryce Elder is not on the postseason roster. It's Max Fried, Kyle Wright, Charlie Morton, and Spencer Strider as far as the starters go. And then the bullpen, Jesse Chavez, Iglesias, Kenley Jansen, Dylan Lee, Tyler Mazzett, Colin McHugh, AJ Minter, Jackson Stevens, and Jake for the bullpen, which I think is a great spot for Jake. I think Jake's a good 7th-inning guy, man. I really do. I think he's a guy that you put in for the 7th inning, and I think he can get it done. To me, I think this is a one-sided series, and I think it's just a matter of seeing where you can find value if you're going to bet it. I think that the Braves are just a better team, and I think that they always seem to find a way. And I think against teams like the Phillies, this is where they pretty much have cut their whatever you call it, where they've done it, over this time, and it's they find that opening, and then the floodgates just open against them. And I also believe that against a team like the Phillies, I also believe that if they go down in a game, I think they have every bit of confidence that they can come back in that game and beat this team 100 out of 100 times. So I just think that for me, this just looks like a very one-sided series. I said the same thing about the Cardinals against the Phillies, so take it for what it's worth. We go to our next one. I said the Cardinals would sweep the Phillies, was what I said. Anyways, we go to our next. Montgomery and Wainwright don't even start a game in that series. It's like, I'd love to know what happens. But anyways, Houston Astros have been sitting on the bench, watching everything transpire. And we know that the Astros at home in these playoff series, man, it's like a football atmosphere for these games. And they close the roof, they do the whole 9 yards, to get this thing going on. It's Justin Verlander, who has just been straight money against the Mariners in Game 1. The first outing he had against the Mariners this season was a little bit higher scoring, but the last 2 times he's faced them, they haven't been able to do anything against them. And Logan Gilbert gets a start in Game 1, but the Mariners, sometimes when you have a team like this, it's like they don't understand that they're not supposed to win, and they ride that momentum, and it's kind of we've seen the Mets do it a few times in their history, and it's kind of like the next man up, and they don't even realize what's going on, and next thing you know, it's a blooper to center field, and craziest of crazy things are happening. A lot of people went into the YouTube comments and commented on my comments about the blooper into center field, saying that this ball was in between outfielders and was uncatchable, but that's not the case. That was not the case in that ball. That ball was very, very catchable. And there's a simple way of doing it, is that there's a priority as to who has the ultimate call, and normally it's the center fielder has the call where it's like, I can get it. It's like kind of like the Bad News Bears when Kelly Leak was ball hogging. It's the center fielder that has the right of way on those things. But it wasn't an I got it, you take it. It was a double I got it, on that one. Anyways, Chris, do the Mariners continue the magic, or is it against basically the best team in the American League this year? You could argue that the Astros were the best team in baseball. You're muted.
Sorry about that. I stand by my comments that the AL runs through Houston. I don't get me wrong, Seattle, it was a great comeback for them to advance to this round, but Houston had their number, especially down the stretch. They won 7 of the last 9 meetings to close out the year. Last time we saw Justin Verlander against the Mariners, it was an 11-1 Houston beatdown. I think Houston starts the series with a win, and I think this is going to be a quick series. The Mariners, they had their time in the sun, but again, the Houston Astros, been there, done that. I think they're going to show it here. I really like Houston to make quick work of the Mariners in this series.
Rod, what do you think?
Yeah, I got to agree. I think you bring out the broom. I think I'm going to bet a little on Houston for the sweep. I think they win this 4-0. I don't think they take the Mariners lightly, and I just don't trust the Mariners. Mariners, sure, they beat up on the Blue Jays, but we know the Blue Jays bullpen was awful. But we knew that going into that series. That was a big worry. We know what Houston can do. Shut down, lights out. You're not coming back from 8-1 down. If Houston gets up 8-1 in any game, no chance that they're going to come back and blow it like the Blue Jays did. So maybe 5. They might get 1 at home. But I Houston and romp in this one.
And sorry, these series actually, I'm just looking, they are 3. They are best of 5. So.
All right, so I stand corrected. Maybe it's who it was is the NBA that made the opening rounds longer games. For me in this one, I think Seattle's going to at least win a game. I really do. I think they at least show up in this series. I think that's why we love sports, and why I didn't get involved in sports because to make money. I didn't. I didn't get involved in sports to make money betting on sports or in any other way. I didn't. I got involved in it because I loved it, and I loved that we never knew what we're gonna get. And I think that this is one of those scenarios that the Mariners have a chance to be that team, to be that magical team that kind of either gets there and goes all the way or just falls short. And we see it all the time. It's not something that's rare in sports. It's something that we know is possible. And why we watch the games, why we love it, and why they play the games. Because nothing is set in stone. And I got to say that as good as the Astros have been, man, they've been vulnerable in spots. I mean, they have been. And I think the Mariners make a series out of this thing. I really think they do. I think that, we saw Castillo pitch exceptionally well. I think Robbie Ray is going to have to hold his own, and the bats are going to have to come through. But we saw a team that in clutch time, in the clutch, when they needed it most, they put we just have Rod on the board here. All right, I messed up the thing. All right, happens. This is what happens when you're on the road.
Right, we got like full.
There we go. Anyways, because I'm doing something else while I'm talking and like flipped out the screen. But anyways, like I was saying, I just think that this is the one series that I think you have that the Mariners are the one team left. That's kind of that magical team, and they had a magical of magical wins, man. You do not see wins like that. I mean, Chris was at the game. He left, was disappointed, as a Blue Jays fan. But at the same time, you saw something that, they're going to be talking about forever, You saw a game that they're going to talk about forever, and that's why we love sports. And I think the Mariners, are the one team that has that chance, and here they are, against the Astros. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times this has happened in baseball. All it takes is a Castillo to come out and be and pitch like he did last time out, which we know he's capable of doing. That's all it's going to take. We saw Josh Beckett, remember the Yankee killer? I mean, people talk about the Bartman and the drop ball and, and all of that other stuff in that Cubs-Marlins series. But in hindsight, Josh Beckett went into the Bronx and busted the Yankees up, and nobody saw that coming. That was the Joe Madden or Jack McKeon. He's got the guts of a cat burglar out there. I have no idea what that means, but that's what he said. That was his comment. It's like, what'd you think of Josh Beckett's performance? He's got the guts of a cat burglar. Okay. No idea what you're talking about. Any idea what that means, Chris? What does the guts of a cat burglar mean? I got no idea.
Got the nerves to steal something expensive and try to sneak around and do it? I don't know.
But Beckett was pretty much on fire that series. And if you look back at that Marlins rotation, it's like every guy from that rotation was a superstar. And you look back at that Marlins lineup, and it's like probably 4 or 5 Hall of Famers in there, including Miggy. But we go to the next game, and like I said, if the Astros sweep them, they sweep them, and it's like they're the better team and whatever. But especially in a 3 out of 5, you really got a chance to steal one because, it's Logan Gilbert who has not been his best over the last month or so. But outside of that, you got Castillo. I think Castillo, because he's not going to have to go against Verlander. He's going to have a shot, He's going to have a shot to get one. That was the most dominating performance by any pitcher in the entire wild card round. Even better than Musgrove last night, I thought, because I thought it was a tougher spot. Well, I don't know, deciding game, whatever, on the road. I mean, Castillo was the opening game on the road, and I mean they didn't, the Blue Jays were pretty excited about this year. And let's go to our next series. And we've got the Yankees against the Guardians. This one, the pressure now off Aaron Judge. He can get back to playing baseball again. Garrett Cole can exercise some demons here. And, the Yankees probably saying, man, if we had Montgomery, maybe we'd have a really good shot of knocking off the Astros and the Dodgers. Chris, what do you think?
I don't even think they're going to have the chance. I like Cleveland to win this series. That you can get them at plus 200 just to win the series. I think if you even have a chance to put on the correct score for the series and you just box everything off, you take Cleveland to sweep, win 3-1 or 3-2, the minimum odds you're getting in that are plus 500. And I really like the matchup for the Guardians in Game 1. I like Cal Quantrill. A lot of people are going to see it. The Yankees won 5 to 6 meetings this season, but the bulk of those came in April and I think June or July when the Yankees were still playing 40 games over 500, and the Guardians were struggling to or starting to get their feet underneath themselves at that point. I'm not backing Garrett Cole in this kind of spot. I know he's a $35 million a year pitcher. This is what you bring him in for, but he hasn't pitched like it down the stretch, and I think the Guardians feeling themselves off of that series win against the Rays. They know they're the underdog here, but I don't think they're going to play like it. I think they're as live as a dog at any series here. So I like Cleveland to win this series.
I'd like to see Cleveland win this series. That would be. I think they have out of the underdogs in the American League. I think they have the best chance to maybe surprise and upset some people. But it is the Yankees, and you look, just as you said, the Yankees have won 5 out of 6 meetings this year. But you look at those, how many runs? It's like 38-14. Is if you keep the counting total in those 6 games. Yankees just have too many weapons on offense for the Guardians to try to pitch around, and I think that's the issue. I think they try their darndest, and I think we get a lot of low-scoring unders, but I think the Yankees' best are just too much, and I think they get the win. Everybody wants to see Yankees versus Houston, and I think that's what we get. Yankees-Houston AL final.
I seen the comments, Justin Verlander and all that stuff, and everyone knows I've been, singing Verlander's praises all season and basically for the last 10 years. But when we look at Verlander's postseason numbers, it's not a pretty picture. And he's had a few very good postseasons, but those are few and far between. Most of his postseasons, mid-4s to mid-5 ERA over the course of these postseason series. So Verlander certainly, and last time out, he was absolutely terrible. Took 4 losses in 2019, 1-4. He was the losing pitcher record in all 4 of those games with a 4.33 ERA. He had a 4.15 in 2018, 5.40 with the Tigers in 2014. He had 5.31 with the Tigers in 2011 and 5.82 with the Tigers in 2006. So he's far from unbeatable in the postseason. He's very, very good. But, we know it's just if he comes out and throws a perfect game, is anybody really all that surprised? We've seen that, a few times, but there was also, as big as Don Larson's perfect game in the World Series was, I thought Halliday's no-hitter against the Marlins was pretty dominating as well with the Phillies. Anyways, in this series, I'm with Chris. I think the Guardians get it done here. I think Tito in the postseason against the Yankees. I think this is where the manager really, really matters because you're on limited numbers. You have all hands on deck situations. You have a different way of managing because now you have like different pitchers and you have a different bullpen. And we saw it last night, where they took Bassett out early and put Peterson in. I mean, I don't really understand that. I'd rather have a worn down Chris Bassett than a very fresh Peterson any day of the week. But I'm not managing the Mets, and neither will Buck Showalter be much longer. But the thing is that I think that the Guardians. I think Tito's just a Hall of Fame manager. This guy is just crazy good, and you see it because when you look at these postseason rosters, and you look at these postseason teams, and you say, well, who made moves to get here? Who did this to get here? Who's whatever. And the Guardians are the outlier. We talked in the last series. Oh, they don't have the superstar players. They don't have the batting order of the they don't have this. It's like, I don't know, man. They lose Kluber. They lose Corbin. They lose this guy, that guy. It's like all of a sudden this pitching staff just as good, just as good. And it's called a really, really good manager. and this guy is that guy. And they buy what he's selling. They know he knows how to win. They buy what he's selling. They play very, very selfless baseball on this team. They play as a team. Very, very dangerous, to a team like the Yankees, who may have a big game in this series where they score 11, 12, 13 runs. Stanton and Judge, double home runs each, back to back, and then the next time up back to back again. I mean, that could happen, But I think the Guardians are the better team in this series, and the manager is the biggest mismatch on the field of anything. Like, you could still look at Aaron Judge versus Ramirez. You could look at the Yankees pitching staff versus the Guardians pitching staff. You can look at any of those things, but you look at Tito versus Aaron Boone. This is an absolute mismatch. This is like Roger Federer playing against me. Is really what that is.
Right? Definitely.
Yeah, it's
definitely a big advantage there for sure.
It's not even close. We go to our final series, and speaking of not even close, this series has not been close this season. The Dodgers taking on the Padres, and the Padres, congratulations to them. I was super critical of them last season. At times, I was critical of them this year. I felt that the last month, if you watch my regular videos, you've seen me talk about, say, you know what? They've been pretty good this season, as far as showing some guts down the stretch. When they were in this battle with the Phillies and the Brewers and everything else with the Braves and the Mets, and they're kind of in this mix. They really showed some guts in a lot of these games. They won a lot of those games that other teams were losing, and that's how they kind of hung in there. And then against the Mets, I mean, yeah, we know it's Buck Showalter, so there's going to be an asterisk there on winning that series. But at the same time, they did win it, and Melvin did a great job managing his team to get there. It just seems that he knows his players really well. He understands his players, and he knows like Nola's hot, and he knows that Grisham is. He knows how to handle these guys. He doesn't let it get to their head. And but the Dodgers, they're their daddy. I mean, they've absolutely just crushed the Padres this season. Chris, this I think is the most likely, unfortunately, for the Padres to be the sweep.
You know what? I can see where you're coming from with that, but I don't know. I think the Padres have a bit of a shot in this series. If you look at recent results, absolutely.
Where's my laugh track button?
That's why I'm taking advantage of the fact that it's not here. Because I think that, I think the Padres have a shot, but you got to get in guys like Darvish and, Joe Musgrove. The problem is those guys have been used in recent days. If you start Darvish tomorrow, I haven't seen if the Padres have confirmed the starter yet. Okay. The only thing funny, that scared the crap out of me. But that's better a little bit. But I don't know. I think. Okay, how many more are left? Wait. Okay. I think you would be starting Darvish on short rest here, and that's not what you want against the Dodgers. But the Padres have shown fight down the stretch, and this Padres team seems to me eerily similar to the Braves team that won the World Series last year in the sense of just how it's setting up. You lose one of your best players for the entire season. Granted, Tatis barely played it. I don't even think he played it all this season, but he still made moves at the deadline. This is a team that really nobody gave much of a chance to heading into the postseason, and now they get a chance to take on another 110 this year, 110 win Dodger team that really nobody's given them much of a shot in. So I think the Dodgers have a good shot at winning this series, but if you're looking at a future for this series, I might take the Padres plus 1.5 on the series price. Still minus 120. I think this could go 5 games. But not. It's probably my least favorite series of the 4 to bet on.
I just struggle with the Padres coming out of the gate and giving away game 1. I mean, obviously we haven't, given picks on specific games or done any of that stuff. But I mean, I'm not a big run line and odds guy, but I mean, I got to say that Mike Clevenger wheeling out to the mound here against
I
Arias,
was going to pick Clevenger.
I certainly am now, and
Yeah.
so I don't think giving one away is a good way to start. And I think if it's me, maybe you push Darvish up on short rest. I don't know, but it's not me. Rod, what do you think of this series?
Yeah, I don't know. This just has blowout sweep written all over it. I don't. I sure the Padres have a shot like anybody else, but they definitely need their starting pitchers to step up. And do I see that? I don't see that. I don't see it at all. I have to go with the Dodgers here, and I think I'm going to go with sweep. I think they win at 3-0. I think they walk into this one and beat the Padres up and move on. Dodgers are going to be real tough out. I think they're going all the way. Real tough out in this one. I don't think the Padres got enough guys to do it. Even if the Padres get up early, even down 6-0, we've seen the Dodgers come roaring back. They have the team that they just get together and they just fall and down the end they come back. So I don't see it. I can't think the Padres to win this series. Muted. I can't hear you.
Muted. You're so muted, Mitch.
Muted.
I just don't see it. I don't see anything happening here, but the Dodgers rolling, and I think that if they're going to get taken, while I say I said the same thing in the Mariners series. This is why we watch. There's been plenty of times, where especially in baseball, team gets hot and they end up winning the World Series. We saw the Washington Nationals do it just a few years ago. It just happens. Teams get hot and they take it down, but. I think that the Padres are seriously facing a challenge here, and I think starting Clevenger, in Game 1, I think is a big mistake. I think it's a big mistake. So I think you're going to lose all the momentum, any momentum that you had coming in. I don't know if they have other options. You go to a bullpen game, I wouldn't know what to do, but it's like, boy, it just seems that they're one short. What's the guy's name that they traded?
Mackenzie Gore.
Yes. It's Mackenzie Gore time. Anyways, we move on. That was fun. We don't do that enough, do these previews like that. Tomorrow there's NHL games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 games tomorrow and then a full cards after that, right?
It's a 6
whole pile
card
of
on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Got NBA. We'll do a quick preseason. Hornets whiz. We got, I almost called them the Guardians. The Cavaliers against the Sixers. We've got the Heat against the Rockets. And the Chicken Nuggets up against the Phoenix Suns. Chris, any of these?
It's hard for me to turn down a good chicken nugget, but I'm still going to stick with the over in that Heat Rockets game. I think it's opening around 2. My total just disappeared on me, but I still like the over in that game. I think Houston's going to look to push the pace. I think Miami, looking to take a bit more of an offensive approach this season. I think we're going to see a fair share of points in that one. And I also like the Charlotte Hornets. It's laying the points against the Washington Wizards. Hornets, a team I think I'm going to be very high on this season. The Washington Wizards just not one of those teams, so I would lean towards the Hornets in this one, but treading lightly on the NBA preseason today.
Rod?
2 I like today. I agree. Give me the Hornets here. I look who's playing for Washington. Looks like Porzingis is going to get the start. Kuzma, Will Barton, Morris, and Charlotte. Hayward's going to start. Rozier, LaMelo Ball is going to play. They're going to start their line. I like the Hornets here in this one. And then you look at Denver. Denver's resting a whole lot of guys. They're not playing. Jokovic not playing. Murray's not playing. And the Suns are playing everybody. Paul's playing. Booker's playing. Bridges is playing. DeAndre Ayton's playing too. So, yikes. I like the Suns in that one. Two I like. Charlotte and the Suns. Pair those up. Two-teamer. Charlotte and the Suns.
You can get Rod and Chris's premium picks on the NHL, and they'll also have their own videos and stuff that they do in NHL. For me, it's like I'm not going to sit here through it. It's not something that I follow, and I don't add value. And it's like for me to sit here while these guys go over NHL is a waste of my time, and it's a waste of your time because I know I say this a lot, and I know you guys don't listen to it, but I'm pretty much the only one out there that owns their website that does these videos and everything every day. The rest of the guys that you see are just employees of their company, and most of them have a somewhat limited role. But I like going to Vegas and all that stuff. I'm here on business too, so it's like I'm always working. I work 24 hours. You guys ever email me? Anyone ever buys a premium pick, they have a problem with it, email. It's like, who do you get? It's like I'm all over everything. So for me to sit here while these guys go over the NHL show and for me to sleep through it is not a productive use of my time, and it's not a productive use for the people that support our website and kind of pay the bills around here. So we're gonna stick to the way that we do things. And if you're interested, if their own videos of doing those hockey games isn't good enough for you, I believe they're going to do a Puck Dogs package again this season, and they will also have their own individual NHL picks and packages as well. And those are the games that I'd be betting, or the ones that they say are their best bets, personally. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say about that. I hate the Sixers, so I'm just going to take the Cavaliers here just because I feel like it. And it's preseason NBA. I think the Suns look just so obvious, man. It's like, it's tough, when it's that obvious. And I don't know. I think the Rockets are going to be improved. I could see the back door opening up in the fourth quarter and that thing with that massive number there. I'm going to stay the hell away from that thing, too. So we got NBA starting. Today is the 10th, so we've got 8 days, not next Monday, but the following day after that. They're going to run right up against the baseball playoffs and the World Series and everything else. So good for them, man. College football Saturdays. Last year the NBA pushed it back. Remember, they had the Christmas start, and I like that. But this year they're going back to who they were. But anyways, really, I think that about covers today's show. We covered the Major League Baseball playoffs. We gave an overview, and tomorrow we'll go game by game through those. We covered the NBA preseason, and we covered
Quick shout out. Happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian viewers. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And take the Red Blacks plus the points. Red Blacks 10-1 ATS against Montreal. The last 11 meetings. Take the Red Blacks. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Justin Tucker last second field goal was great for me. I had the Bengals with the point, so I was pretty excited about it, to be honest with you.
Yep. Me too. I was like, oh, Tucker's going to kick. Yeah. Right down the pipe. Mr.
Either way, I can't lose. There's no way I could lose this game. Even if the Bengals block the field goal and run it in for a touchdown, I still win. The only way that it could have happened is if they botch the snap, he gets up, they throw it in for a touchdown. It was the only way I could lose. Which, the way that some of these games go, now that I've thrown it out there, it probably will happen. But thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for joining us. Rod and Chris, it was always a pleasure spending my morning with you. I'll see everybody tonight at halftime of the Monday Night Football game. I'm not sure what my status is going to be for that, so I'm going to try and figure it out. We'll figure it out. I'll get Jay on, and we'll do it. So we'll figure out how to do it. And we might have a logistical issue with that. If we do, then it will just be me. But I would say right now it's probably 80% that it's going to be normal, 20% that it will just be me. But either way, we'll have a Monday Night Football halftime show. But we might have a logistical issue, so I'm just trying to figure it out. We always do. And even with the logistical issue, I'm sure we could figure that out too. You guys have seen me driving around. Well, you guys have heard stories about me with no internet driving around trying to get cell phone reception with like this. My wife's driving and I got the cell phone like this trying to get reception while I'm uploading YouTube videos. Stop! Pull over! No, not that spot! Pull up! Pull up!
Put one hand on the car, stand on one foot.
For the VIP show, we should be giving out the pick for the football game. I don't think so. I don't agree with that. So I think the VIP show, if you feel that you're not getting your value from the VIP show, then you should not be a VIP member. I feel that the VIP show is really, of all the things that we do and all the things that we sell, the VIP show is the one that I really have the biggest question mark about, because I feel that we give way too much for the price that we're charging, that it's a loser for us. But if it's a winner for you guys, that's why we've kept it. Because the people that supported it when we first did the idea, that's why I've kept that up and running. But as far as, giving out, $75 in premium picks, when that's the only game going, I think that, especially, when we have discounts and everything else available, I think it's a pretty big ask there for, when you're paying $3 a day. And there's our spammer.
There's her spam, people.
Better late than never, right? I was gonna sign off, but I gotta block this guy first.
Got him.
You got him, Chris?
Yep.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. And thanks everyone for joining us. Make it a winning day.